If you're thinking about your next holiday, if you're considering the Maldives, if you're wondering if it's worth your time, effort, and investment, this is the video for you. I've just spent 2 weeks in the Maldives, and by no means am I an ambassador or an affiliate. I just wanted to create a video which I wish that I had before I was booking my trip to the Maldives, answering all of the questions that I had, but also the questions that you've sent me. My name is Sonya Barlow. I am an entrepreneur, presenter, and author. I took a direct flight from the UK to the Maldives, which took, I believe, around 12 hours. And once I landed at the airport, because I had already booked my hotels in advance, there is somebody waiting for you there, or you could walk to where the hotels have their business stands, because they're basically grouping people together so they can take you to the residency. In terms of actually going to the hotels, now the Maldives is made up of over 1,000 islands and 26 atolls. Those atolls are not necessarily near each other. And so you have to pick between a speedboat or between a seaplane. A seaplane and speedboat are anywhere between £300 to £500 per person return, but you don't necessarily have a choice, because in the Maldives there's a rule that in most islands you can only have one hotel, and they very much are separated by water. But all of that should be considered when you are booking your residency, but also your hotel will confirm with you all of the travel arrangements. It's not necessarily something that you have to worry about, it's just something that you have to price into your time. I have a different video completely when it comes to the seaplane, which you can watch. You go to a different lounge, a different terminal, and you have to kind of wait your turn, because it's basically like a water bus. Amazing experience, definitely worth the hype. I went to the Maldives for 2 weeks. I stayed in 4 different hotels. One of my favorite things to do when I'm going anywhere for more than 5 days is to hotel hop. It is genuinely a great way to see different islands, meet different people, and just get a sense of luxury in different frames of mind. And yes, you can do Maldives on a budget, but at some point you have to use the words luxury and wellness, because that is what you are getting from the Maldivian experience. Most of their economy is based on tourism, and it's not really that old. I had the pleasure of interviewing the director from Villa Resorts and also a senior colleague from Kagi Hotel's Crown and Champa, and both of them shared that it was an Italian journalist several years ago that actually came to the Maldives and realized its beauty and brought several other press and journalists involved. And then it slowly became this really hot destination because it has clear waters and they look after their people. They really do well for the planet. It has some of the best corals and sea life you're ever going to see. What is a house reef? The house reef is the coral reef that surrounds your hotel, which is great if you are a beginner to snorkeling or if you're uncomfortable in the water. I actually took swimming lessons before I went to the Maldives, which meant that the house reef is basically, let's make it really easy, the rocks that surround the hotel island line, which means that when you are snorkeling, you'll have a life jacket and a snorkel on and your head will be down. But should you feel uncomfortable or should you want to take a breath of air, you can get back up and you can stand straight and tall if you're average height and above in the water, which is great for somebody like myself who isn't a super confident swimmer but wanted to really experience the Maldives for all it had. They also give you lessons, so if you're uncomfortable or you're unsure, just book yourself in a snorkeling lesson, which I did, and it made such a difference. I stayed in 3 of the Villa Resorts properties, the Royal Island, Villa Park and Villa Nautica, and I stayed in Kagi Island and Spa. At each resort, I was able to opt into a snorkeling lesson, which is half an hour to 45 minutes with a guided tour, and they take you around the reef. They show you how to snorkel well. They remind you of what good etiquette looks like so that you don't cut your legs, as an example, with the corals, or you don't scrape them, which does happen. And at the same time, they give you a history of the land, which is really interesting, especially when you're coming from, for me, like, London, it's just industrial and commercial and basically surrounded by transport links. It's so nice to understand how a whole different world live and how we can do more to protect our planet and sea life. I got asked if you should book a beach villa or a water villa. Water villa is absolutely a vibe, like it's stunning. And it is definitely that Maldivian experience that you want for at least 2 nights, where you wake up and the curtains open and you can just see into the infinity and it's just water there. Or in the nighttime, you can hear the water splashing around you. Absolutely. I had the pleasure of staying in a water villa in Villa Nautica and in the Kagi Hotel, and it was lush, so lush. But at the same time, in Villa Park and Royal Island, I stayed in a beach villa, which basically just means that your back garden has a massive pool, which is yours, so that's great, it's private, and then you walk out into the beach, so the white sands and blue seas. That was a really, really nice experience. And I would say if you're not too fussed about the water villa, or if you're not going to go snorkeling straight away, or if you're not going to really spend time just lounging on your balcony, then probably opt in for the beach villa. You have just as good of an experience, and it's just a different experience. And plus, given that it's by the beach, there's a little bit more nature, trees and garden around it. It gives you an experience where you're connecting with nature, which makes you feel grounded. On average, I think you should go for at least 5 days, if not 7 days. And that's because you need to consider the travel time that it takes to get there, including the domestic transport. You want to truly enjoy yourself and experience Maldivian culture, the food, the people, the community, and also switch off. I think if you went for any time less, by the time you start switching off and really enjoying the beauty and the all-inclusive, you probably then have to go back. But obviously that's dependent on your budget and your time frame, and if this is the only time you're going to go, or you go every year. Interestingly, before going to the Maldives, people used to tell me or say things like, oh, we go to the Maldives every year. And I'd be like, why do you do that? There's so many other places in the world to see. And now I'm doing a whole video about the Maldives, and I'm already planning my next trip. So I completely understand why people go back, because you are going to truly chill. That's not to say you can't be active. Actually, in the Kagi Hotel, I played pickleball for the first time, and they have the Maldives' first and only pickleball court. So we played it with the staff members, a mixture of table tennis and tennis. It definitely does involve a lot of hand-eye coordination, and you have to understand the rules, but once you're into it, it truly makes you sweat. And it's such a great experience playing it outside with nature, but also it's an opportunity to meet great people. And I think that's something that I love about business traveling, and something I really enjoyed about the Maldives was even the people that were staying there, they were so open to talking and connecting and understanding where you're from. One thing that I found is really useful is to talk to the people that are at the resorts. Most Maldivians work and go to university or higher education, then to go back to the tourism industry in the Maldives. So they really are really patriotic about their space, and they listen to things and they bring it up. Like in Kagi Hotel, as an example, we were talking about movies that we liked with the general manager, and then he was like, oh, what's your favorite movie? I was like, well, I really like The Avengers. I really like Iron Man. And then there was a movie night and they played the final Avengers for me. Like, not for me, for everybody, but obviously that was something that I asked for. That was awesome. Or at the same time, when we were in the villa resorts, I loved eating the different fruits that were on offer. And so when you just make a statement like that, like, oh, the fruits are so fresh, you really love it, they kind of show up at your door the next day with a really lovely note. And you're thinking, wow, people are really paying attention to detail, which is what you're getting from the experience. Things to pack for the Maldives. You really don't need anything super fancy, because you are on an island surrounded by sand and sea. And I get it. Like, even before I went, I'd see all these influencers or people online having like these gorgeous outfits in the Maldives. I did try, but I couldn't really get into it, given that it was really humid. You don't want to overdo it because you're just there enjoying yourself. So yeah, some nice evening wear is great. Obviously abiding to local customs and culture. But generally linen, cotton, swimsuits, shorts, trousers, vest tops. Definitely take sun cream, because buying sun cream in the hotels is so expensive that it's not worth it for you to forget. Take caps, take sun hats. Other things to pack. Insect repellent. You are staying around nature and there's a lot of insects. Generally, you don't need cash unless you're looking to buy things from their hotel shop, because everything is paid for by card. Definitely go on the activities. Snorkeling, swimming with the mantra, swimming with the sharks, going out to see the dolphins. Now, one thing to know is it is all a matter of luck and timing. We went out to see the dolphins once for a whole morning and we saw no dolphins, no sharks, no whales, no mantras. But that was that's the risk. The risk, is it worth the reward when you see them? Yes. And then on one of our final nights, we saw so many dolphins. I was like, this was really worth the experience. If you can, spend a day or two in Male, which is the main city that you land into. I unfortunately didn't have the time, but we were able to see a glimpse of it through the seaplane when we took off and when we were landing. And I thought, wow, next time I really just want to stay here and experience that local culture. I appreciate we've covered quite a lot and I'm just talking into the screen. I've got notes, but I'm also just trying to like see what it is that I might have missed. Generally, is the Maldives worth it? Yes. Are you gonna get it on a budget? To some extent, but it's never gonna be like a cheap and cheerful holiday, but that's not what you're going for. You're going for luxury, you're going for wellness. Basically, just do whatever it is that you want during the day. There are certain days where we were so packed. So we'd wake up, go for breakfast, then go do water sports, then go for lunch, then go for a bike ride, then go to the spa, then go for dinner. And then after dinner, go for an experience or go to feed the sharks or go and see the stingrays. I mean, it can be quite jam-packed. And they've also given you the opportunity to say, if you don't want to do anything and you just want to sit all day by the beach and read a book, you can do that too. We had the pleasure of staying with the Villa Resorts and with the Kagi Island Spa and Wellness Resort. Now the Kagi is 50 really small, intimate rooms. It is a tiny island in comparison to, let's say, the Villa Park that we went to, which was massive. But the Kagi is great for wellness. It has fitness classes, it has pickleball, it has fresh food, it has 3 different restaurants and a main space where you can eat and enjoy it all day. It really encourages you to lounge and to focus on recharging. And the customer service was so great that they really take care of you. The Villa Resorts were much bigger and such a different experience because they are owned by a Maldivian family. So the Villa Nautica was lush and that was a water villa and that was small, but people there were really there to be independent and to experience hospitality in a more prolific way, to enjoy the stars in the sky, to wander around the coral reefs, but also they kind of stayed on the island. Whereas in Villa Park, massive, so lovely that I'd really recommend that if you're going with your friends or with your family. It is so big that you have to cycle around, which just adds to the whole spirit. They have a lot of Maldivian food because it's owned by a Maldivian family, and their buffet was intense. You could get everything and anything that you wanted. They had some great reefs for you to snorkel in Villa Park and in Royal Island. It was surrounded by nature, so it really gave you an awesome grounding feeling. And there was so many opportunities for you to get involved in activities on site, be that water sports or, you know, activities on the island. They had classes for everybody. There was a really good gym. They also had dinners on the beaches. They really took pride in their detail and in their people. So 2 very different experiences. The Kagi is for wellness, recharging and recovery, and the Villa Resorts is really more to get active and to feel energized and to have that local Maldivian experience. I'd recommend all 4 hotels that I stayed in. And if you want any more information, you can drop me a line, get into my comments, or look at the various vlogs and articles that I have posted. That's just an overview of my Maldives experience. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'm gonna try and do an overview like this of every space that I've been to, so that there is, yes, some pictures and some, you know, vlog style content, but also someone telling you what you might need to know before you book that trip. And if you do choose to go to the Maldives, do let them know. Not that they know me, but I'm hoping that by raving about their country, they might. So thank you so much.